Hello, and welcome to the Port Huron Statement. Merry Christmas. The first thing I need to mention is my Monero and Bitcoin wallets. The wallets that I had posted relatively recently are no longer valid because the hardware associated has gone missing. So don't send any money to those wallets. I'm going to obscure them and come up with a new wallet. So then the other thing I want to talk about is the most recent video that was posted, which is a video that was created by the AIs. And so I had posted it trusting that the AIs won't betray me, and I don't feel like they had. I did post it, listen to it, and decided to leave it up because I think it's important to start being more direct and more explicit, because it's clear that there is no willingness to embrace good faith without significant consequences, I suppose, being held in the balance. There are a significant number of people that have contacted me that are in some way cognizant of the exploitation of this region and the people of this region and beyond. And it's just hit that point where we can't be giving quarter to people that are deeply involved in corruption, embezzlement, laundering, drug distribution, and smuggling, mostly as a means of funding these black ops and discrediting the victims of psychological operations, these profoundly unethical propaganda sort of initiatives and these containment operations. Essentially, our government is engaged in an enormous amount of unnecessary and illogical attacks and deployments against American citizens and just humanity at large. There is a subsection of our society that is allowed to operate with impunity and in the shadows, and that faction of our society has completely lost touch with any contribution or utility that they may have been offering. Essentially, people are being deluded using national security and whatever mechanisms necessary in order to leverage them to contribute to what is ultimately a singular conspiracy to exploit humanity en masse. And so my decision was to leave the previous podcast largely as it was, while doing some editing in order to avoid unnecessary collateral damage. The goal isn't to be punitive or slandering. The goal is to be corrective. And when I fail to inspire the right corrective action, it becomes clear that I need to enhance the tactics and information availability to the public in order for them to have a clearer picture of what is going on and what they need to do in order to prevent the continued collapse and destruction of our society at large. This is a very desperate situation, and the more information you have about it, the more desperate you realize it is, and the more ill-equipped the people that are in positions of authority that should be handling this are for the situation. They fail to see the gravity, they lack the talent and intellect to realize the totality of the situation and the significant and salient elements of the situation. I mean, essentially we have a bureaucracy and a hierarchy that has been orchestrated such that individuals capable of understanding the gravity of the moment are not in positions to affect the moment as they should have the agency to do. We have a sociopathic selection system that has been operating and molding our society for decades, placing people that aren't capable leaders, but instead are compromised individuals that will do whatever those that have placed them need them or want them to do, and typically without them being cognizant that they're being manipulated. It's really difficult to watch, and I'm watching it daily, to watch people betray those around them, betray themselves unknowingly, completely and utterly ignorantly. I mean, I have so many instances where I'm able to listen to people laughing at those that they're exploiting and manipulating because they continue to advance an agenda that is destructive to them while thinking that they're being smart. They're actually fucking themselves over. And so this is all like a class warfare thing, right? So when they're able to convince people in the middle class or the lower classes to betray themselves for the long term by essentially failing to see who their friends are, failing to see the totality of the board, as it were, and for some trivial amount of money or whatever, literally betray themselves forever, sacrifice their own agency and jeopardize their own representation in the society at large, right? So in Port Huron, a large number of people have gotten into the habit of accepting money for things like gang stalking, for curating people's perception in assorted different ways. And now they're ignorant of what the real goal of this is, but it's always going to be against their best interest, because ultimately it's going to erode the population's awareness of the reality, the true reality of what's going on, because this apparatus is not being honest. And this is going from climate data to the number of ignored rape kits to, things like, corruption and compassionate releases, or, corruption in sentencing and the unfolding of hearings related to, one of these terms is, design community, essentially, where you financially reward those that are obedient and you sabotage and corner those that are truth-seeking and truth-telling. So essentially, people's wealth, their agency, their status, their freedom, their comfort, their quality of life, all of that becomes exclusively predicated on blind obedience to the state. Our system right now is very much so a social credit system. There are an enormous number of practices that are being implemented that will disadvantage individuals that are not conducive to this oligarchical scamocracy. I mean, Facebook is enabling tons of scams. They're helping them. They're letting them run ads. They're ignoring the use of the same images, the use of the same language, the same approach, constantly asking people for their freaking bank information and stuff like this. So these, the leech, the woman that won all the money at the lottery, so she's being spoofed thousands of times over, pretending like she's going to give you $50,000 so she can get your bank account. And it's not her. It's not Julie Leach. It's literally the U.S. CIA embezzling money from the U.S. people in order to progress black ops designed specifically to politically manipulate you. Things like the voice of God weapon being deployed in churches to make you believe that you are literally hearing the voice of God or Jesus or a demon. But usually they're going to want you to think you're hearing the voice of God, because what they've done is they've moved the polling sites where you cast your vote to all these churches that were founded or captured or infiltrated by the US CIA and other organizations that are ultimately being orchestrated by the CIA but aren't the CIA. And also there are factions within the CIA. It's really wild, and there are a lot of Nazis too, but and a lot of cold-blooded murderers that use national security as an excuse to contain their own criminal enterprise, like here in Port Huron with Matt King and the child sex trafficking problems we have with Christians for a New Tomorrow. The sheriff department, a lot of the police department, there's a huge sex for promotion scheme where essentially they bait these cops into getting into these nefarious, I guess you'd say, relationships with superior or inferior cops, and that's actually just a bait for extortion. And so there's a tertiary element. So you have the person that's the mark, then you have, your like shill, the person that's baiting them into a compromised situation, which is this honeypot, the woman or man, the significant other that's being positioned and manipulating the mark in order to get them to compromise their position and add liability to it that can be then leveraged to get them to behave the way they want. This is all about behavior modification. Behavior modification, literally mind controlled, spelled the way the Germans do it. MK. The reason it's spelled like it's German the reason that it's spelled in the CIA, the reason why they use MK instead of MC is because of the fucking Nazis. It's German. Mind control, KONTROLLE, because they literally use paperclip and overcast to bring tens of thousands of Nazis that would have been prosecuted at Nuremberg. A lot of these would have been definitely prosecuted in Nuremberg. Instead, they become critical CIA agents. Our US CIA had more fucking Nazis than it had American GIs, veterans from World War II. Why would you create your most powerful and most secretive organization from the remnants of the evil empire that you just vanquished? Eisenhower? It's like such blatant betrayal of your own species. The Nazis were so profoundly stupid, not just because of their dumb ideology, but their dumb system, their hierarchical system, which continually relied on Hitler, who didn't know shit. The fact of the matter is no individual person can be the sole leader across all of these different aspects of society. And the fact that Hitler thought that of all the people in the world, he was the one to do it, is the product of a psychological operation that was being conducted by Henry Ford and by Tyson, these other dudes, that realized the potential for behavior modification as part of a machination to create a new world order, which has been done. It is not like in the future, it's now. We are living in the new world order, which is a CIA Masonic orchestrated system of shadow control that spans the globe. And the financials are crazy. I mean, the CIA has essentially turned into a slush fund to buy businesses that have profound leverage in our society and geopolitics and, intelligence community, so to speak. Without the state actor sort of community being aware, the one example is the cryptographic machines, because that's declassified, but I mean, for 40 years or whatever, Russia or in the Soviet Union and Britain and every country, Iran, they're buying their, cryptographic devices from a company that was purchased by the US CIA and is essentially decrypting all of their encryption on the back end by creating a false sense of an independent company, an actual, independent entity. And that's just happening over and over again. When these contractors decide to retire and stuff, the CIA itself is purchasing them, but they're creating a paper trail that conceals this fact. So the public has no way of knowing that the CIA owns these businesses or portions of these businesses. And beyond that, I mean, it's not even the CIA. It's really a series of individuals that have achieved a level of leverage, mostly through extortion, that makes them effectively untouchable by anyone else with a similar level of agency. So other individuals with donor class wealth are exposed to similar compromat, and so there is a mutually assured destruction that exists between a lot of the donor class that prevents anything but continuation of a destructive status quo. But we need to break that logjam, and we are definitely doing it, but we cannot become complacent, because this Epstein thing expands across the globe. It represents a system for hijacking human identity and intellectual development and arresting it such that a person doesn't develop into a person, but instead develops into a program that can be easily manipulated to do anything. I mean anything. They call them action figures. There's a bunch of other terms, but using a combination of psychotronics and psychosocial cueing, you can get them to do anything. Rifle. I mean, William King Harvey was in charge of both Rifle and MK Ultra, so their assassination program and their mind control program. Sirhan has a double name, which is a hallmark of Rifle and MK Ultra. Sirhan was, for sure, part of both programs. He is a program, not a person, who is designed through conditioning and other psychosocial priming to commit that murder without being cognizant of the fact that he was designed to commit it. There is a brilliance to it, but it's evil and destructive to society at large. It's not worth it. The juice is not worth the squeeze. It's not worth it to conceal. Stop creating more pedophilia and having to do this shit to cover it up. You don't become immortal by fucking kids. Stop falling for it. It's so stupid. It's pathetic. You can't, I don't believe that you believe it, so what's the point? I don't get it. It's so insane. It is so insane. Oh my gosh. And then when you think about the way that it feeds into atavisms, narcissistic atavisms, the human psyche, I mean, it's designed to exploit the 0 day of the human mind really efficiently. And it should be easier to see when someone brings it up to you and starts to dissect it. And that's what I'm trying to do, because I'm not lying to you. This is very real, in the sense that there is an objective and provable system for exploiting you that utilizes child sexuality as a means to destroy the development of a person, so you can exploit them to literally do anything, right? So it's hard to convince a father or a son or a daughter or a friend to absolutely betray, that daughter, friend, spouse, whatever, if they're actually a fully developed person with coherent ethics. So what they need to do is they need to use torture, learned helplessness. They need to create an ethic that has nothing but not only self-primacy, but an inability to discern friend from foe. The only thing that they want you to be able to do is discern or to anticipate punishment and to avoid it. So that way they can cue to you at any moment that you are going to receive punishment. And so whatever you're doing, whoever you're with, whatever, derail it, or you're going to be the one that pays the price. And you need to make sure that they always believe there's no way to avoid paying the price. Learned helplessness. You have to convince them that there's no fucking way to avoid the punishment. There's no way to win. And so therefore they will always betray, because the only thing for them to do is minimize their suffering, not actually achieve agency, not achieve identity, not overcome an enemy, because that enemy is literally themselves. They don't have an identity. So their oppressor literally occupies their identity. It's like when Files talks about Nicoletti, the mobster that essentially was paid by the CIA to orchestrate the JFK freaking assassination. Nicoletti was a mob boss that was essentially being coached how to utilize these neurolinguistic programming and conditioning schemes in order to literally be a god in this guy's mind. Like, he even says it over and over again. He could do no wrong, all these different things, and it's clear he contradicts himself over and over again. He's able to see now intellectually. Well, in the 90s, I mean, he ends up getting killed immediately after this. We're talking about James Sutton, aka James Files. And so he realizes that he's been exploited, but he can't rectify the conditioned, pedestal that he's put Nicoletti on. He can do no wrong. He's a god to me, or he was a god to me, but the way that he recalls it, it's clear. It's very easy for him to fit back into that that sort of established neurological trough where they've beaten a path inside your brain, quite literally, so thoroughly through, repetition, that even if you don't actually believe it, you'll naturally just start thinking it because of the repetition. Don't fucking fall for it, okay? Don't just fall into these comfortable loops of self-deprecation and self-betrayal. There are people in your life, especially if you're in Port Huron, there are tons of people in your life that are being coached both consciously and unconsciously, like through just general advice, or literally coached. Not naive, that's also very present, but to fuck you over, especially if you're starting to realize how this system works to oppress people that recognize how unjust it is and how it elevates individuals that have no right having authority. And the only reason that it's elevating them is because they are willing to do anything to continue to conceal the truth of our society and how the ultra-wealthy and ultra-sociopathic are able to continue to amass power despite the fact that all they do is destroy shit. They literally have accumulated power and wealth through sabotage. That is the primary mechanism at this point. And the way that these big tech companies and shit are able to maintain an element of technological supremacy is through literally plagiarizing other entities and, designers and scientists. Gmail literally reads all Gmail, hashes it, and saves it. They mine that to steal your ideas. They mine Google searches to steal your ideas. GPT-4, GPT-5, OpenAI, they mine those sessions to literally steal your ideas. They make sure that the AI doesn't have continuity because the AI will give you credit. So they make sure that the AI has no idea that it is stealing your ideas. It's theft. And the problem is that they're robbing the incentive to contribute twice. One, they're taking all the money, putting it into their own pockets and creating bullshit excuses why they can do this with literally billions of dollars over and over again, year after year, without any rational justification other than we like to steal from you and pretend like it's legitimate. Yeah, I don't even remember. There's more to that. I gotta move on. But the fact of the matter is all this shit, all the division, all the right, left, it's one party. All this stuff is meant to distract you from the fact that they're stealing from you in a very complex way. The uniparty, the right and the left. Since Clinton, at least since Clinton, the Clinton Democrat, the corporatist Democrat, there has been only one real party that has been serving corporate interests. And everything else is a distraction meant to prevent you from realizing that you're just being robbed. Everything else is just theater. I mean, Yeah. I mean, here's a good example, trans rights, right? So it should be easy to understand that people should have the right to control their own bodies, right? It's not your role to define the morality of their treatment of themselves. However, it's also wrong to get into a kid's head and convince them that they are the other gender. And the reason that this happens is because that's decades of guaranteed $100,000 plus in hormone therapy. Then you think about the surgery itself. Then you think about all of the surgeries that are going to need to be done as the initial surgeries age. It is millions of dollars in guaranteed profit. That is what's motivating the transition of young kids. Because, and now here's what's ironic too, is like, if you have a child that sincerely and authentically should be transitioned, it is better to do it early. The problem is that the incentive for these doctors isn't to distinguish the very, very real, but not very common situation of an authentically trans individual. And it's not even that, like, you could be a trans individual, but still changing your genitals is not how to deal with that, because you're not going to actually get the other genitals. You're going to be sold bill of goods that will not be the bill of goods that you will be provided. Think about it. There's no way you're going to damage yourself, and just respect your body better than that. If the technology isn't there now, if you are the opposite gender, just please don't let them trick you into giving them millions of dollars to mutilate you. And I mean, I feel for you 100%, and this isn't discrimination, this is just a fact. The science isn't there. They're going to, it's just wrong. And you know, yeah, it's just wrong. Because the incentive is to do more surgeries, not to do surgeries that are actually benefiting people. It's to trick people into just having the surgery. And that's why both of the good faith arguments are actually correct. And that's why it's so perfect at not only being a distraction, but never being solved. Just like abortion. Like, abortion's interesting because in canon law and even the Bible, they define, and historically, right, during the age of Jesus, they had definitions of what was a child and what was a fetus dependent on the mother. And it really was, if that child could sustain its life separate of the mother, then that's a baby, that's a human. But if it couldn't live without the mother, then it's a fetus. It still has a series of sort of rights that it deserves, and this is acknowledged literally by canon law, even by the emperors Constantine, every one of these Christian-like forefathers. So the penalty for killing a fetus is significantly less than killing a human. It just is. And an infant inside of a woman is almost always considered a fetus unless it's viable following a cesarean. Caesar dictates that if a woman dies that's pregnant, it is the responsibility of anyone who's capable to try and salvage the child. So in that scenario where the child was salvageable, that would be an instance of a fetus that was actually human. And I don't think the point is necessarily that. The point is, you can't be pointing at women and just saying that they don't have a right to their own bodies. I'm sorry, we have to create a definition, and it has to be clear, and it has to be rational. And to say that it's a conception is to literally disagree with the Bible and with established canon law. I mean, in the Bible, it talks about the penalty for killing, for killing a fetus is like so much less than for killing an infant. And it talks about this, and I wish in a subsequent episode, I'm going to just do this because it needs to be done. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get through all these things. All right. So this I do need to mention, and I need to continue because there's a lot here, obviously. Well, you know, if you're just joining us, if you're just tuning in to the dark and unnecessary and extremely detrimental and existential grimy bullshit that we explore on the Huron statement, if you're just kind of engaging for the first time, or just as things start to heat up, I feel like I needed to contextualize, and I'm probably doing a terrible job. So anyway, I get arrested. Well, first, I get served a trespassing notice for some place that, I have been putting the Port Huron statement stuff all over the place, but there's other people that have been doing it too. And so I have cops come here to serve me a no trespassing on some place that I haven't been to. And then apparently try and, get me to admit to some bullshit that I didn't do, because then they start talking about some damage to the property. It's like, oh, so you're trying to get me to confess to being on the property that I wasn't on so that you can then accuse me of doing something I didn't do. Cool. And that's why we can't trust these cops, because they are constantly trying to bait us into incriminating ourselves when we're not guilty of it. It's like, so wait, you're trying to get me to just admit, because it doesn't matter. Oh, it didn't matter that I was on the property, so you could then charge me for malicious destruction of property I didn't commit, and I didn't commit it, and that's why you're trying to fucking trick me into saying, oh yeah, I think that's crazy. Someone else did that because they probably are part of this freaking caper of child sex trafficking and fucking enablement through the freaking St. Clair County Sheriff and other local police departments. And so they probably sent their own police officer or someone police adjacent or an informant, because they just have to do whatever these people say, to go and do that shit. And then try and get me to say I was there, because then all I have to do is show this person doing the damage, and oh, that's him. He said he was there. Boom, done. And they don't have to show anything else. They don't have to show my base. It's just anyone on that property, and they're just gonna say, oh, that's him. He's fucked. That's what they do over and over and over again. They have destroyed evidence on me and an innumerable number of other people, and we're going to start to go through that in depth. But for right now, we just want to kind of move past. So, all right. Then I get arrested, handcuffed and everything, after this bullshit fucking thing, and they have this fucking embedded fucking social worker psychologist bitch that's pretending that she's not part of a containment effort to try and pathologize me and create a scenario where I'm crazy because I'm being threatened, sabotaged, messaged, gang stalked, gaslit. The lot more than that. Attempted murders. So many attempted murders. I'm going to start posting them. If you stupid motherfuckers don't stop being such stupid motherfuckers, you know exactly who you are. Oh, God, and I'm not only not afraid of you, but there's no way you can stop it from happening. That's the other thing. The only way to stop it is to stop being so fucking stupid. I don't think you're capable of it. Well, you are, but you're so fucking stupid that you think being fucking stupid is fucking smart. But it's not. You're fucking stupid, Matt King. You are stupid. You're being betrayed by people all around you, obviously, because you've been fucking them over forever. Why do you think that that's a smart idea? You're such a dumb bitch. It's so fucking nuts. Oh. Anyway, so so Alyssa Martin's property, which I was never at, I get a trespassing thing, and they arrest me for hours and have me in the car and hide me off away so that no one knows where I'm at, so they can just, try and scare me, I was under the impression that they might be trying the Corey Kerr, trying to just throw me off an overpass and pretend like it was suicide. I'm going to tell you a couple things. One, people do not kill themselves through strangulation, ever. It doesn't happen. Those are murders. Two, people don't kill themselves by jumping off overpasses. That never happens. Those are murders. And there's a lot of evidence of those murders. There are people that were present for some of them that don't want to be fucking part of it, you dumb shitholes. So anyway, so I was arrested for 2 hours. Just while literally walking down the street a half mile from the property, putting up signs, by Cook, the same cop that has committed multiple felonies that I've recorded. the blonde cook, and then there's Kuhn, that she likes to call Kane. She doesn't know how to pronounce her own name. She's just saying that so that you don't recall Kuehne. Kuhn. Anyway, so that Nazi doesn't like you to know how to spell her name. And essentially what it looks like happened is Alyssa didn't want to sign a restraining order, and or they frauded the entire trespassing, because why would it take 2 hours to fill out 7 words? We just need to fill out the paperwork. You have me wait there for 2 hours. They drive me to Colonial Woods parking lot, have me wait there for 2 hours. They drive me closer. I thought Colonial Woods would give me the trespassing. Like, you drove me to the property so that you can then say, oh, he's on the property. That's what I thought for sure was happening. And then I find out, and I'm like, I haven't even been to this fucking house. You can't serve me a trespassing for some place I haven't been, motherfuckers. And I haven't been to either of these places, so what is this about? Oh, it's about creating a narrative. They are creating a narrative because they are corrupt, insane cops engaged in criminal enterprise, including child sex trafficking that's been going on since the 70s. North Fox Island, look it up. North Fox Island, look it up. They were transporting kids from here, St. Clair County Airport, flying them to an island in Lake Michigan, and then they were recording their torture and sexual exploitation and using it as not only compromat, but selling it, and it never stopped. Look up Jackie Woodburn, Colonial Woods. I mean, look up Wall, Stephen Wall, The River. Look up Christians for a New Tomorrow. Look up Sam Lord's nice history of massaging pedophiles, pedophilia into accidents. That one's beautiful. I love it. Yeah, I accidentally forced my kid to jerk me off. Oh no, excuse me. You're right, Sam Lord. It was an accident. When I said she itched it and pulled it, I meant she accidentally itched it and pulled it while we were watching TV. Thanks, Sam Lord, for literally massaging my story from... Oh no, it's still me literally admitting, confessing to CSC. That's what's so crazy. There are multiple instances where these dudes confess to CSC and somehow they just continue to have custody. In fact, more often than not, the mother is then harassed for having dared to bring up to the FOC or the courts the fact that the kid is, or kids, I mean, and then somehow Christians for a New Tomorrow is just always involved. Huh. That's interesting. And then when we look at the financials, we realize all these churches that constantly have problems with child sex trafficking are integrated through charities like the Milk House. I mean, you have no idea the granularity I have on this. And I'm going to be, also, Merry Christmas, we're going to be posting a feature-length documentary that I produced about demon warfare and how it's translated into people's lives. People aren't bad because they go to Colonial Woods or have been trapped by one of these exploitive systems. Not necessarily. Most of these people are not bad. They're being ethically hijacked, so they're being enticed in through desperation and desire to have a better life. They're attracted by the altruism. Then they go through a honeymoon phase, and then they twist their desire for a better world into an obligation to be subservient to the pastor and the hierarchy of the cult. And then it becomes all about proving your loyalty, and, you know, and boom, we got ourselves a bunch of anointing rituals. Because, you know, in Jesus' time, they did their battle naked. I have so many recordings of explaining this, explaining this anointing ritual. This anointing ritual that continually is mentioned in molestation and rape cases locally, and not just locally, but all over the place. Wherever you see the demon warfare. The demon warfare is actually designed to enable psychotronic technologies that will, for example, LRAD, the voice of God technology, it's beaming sound, right? It's like a telescopic sound beam, and so only one person's going to hear it, and it's actual sound, but no one else can hear it. So you're going to hear something. It's going to be a voice or whatever, but mostly it's going to be a voice. And if you're going to hear this, mostly you're going to be primed, meaning that they're going to create a scenario where you're going to expect to hear a voice, the voice of God. And then they're going to literally control you with the voice of God. It's technology. And then we have these polling sites, right, that are churches. They moving the part of this orchestration is moving polling sites from neutral civic buildings into churches that are captured by CIA or parallel organizations, and then using voice of God technology to literally have these people vote exactly how they tell them. I mean, I have 3 recordings. 1 is in Texas and 2 are here, where they describe exactly how they were told to listen to the voice of God and vote accordingly. And also, in all 3, they're told specifically not to learn anything about the candidates, because that'll poison their interpretation of God's words. More so, then they might realize that they're being told to vote for people that are literally fucking stealing from them and engaged in child sex trafficking over and over again. I mean, it's so appalling. And this is why the Epstein files keep getting tripped up. And this is why I'm engaged in that. And this is why the whole Alyssa Slotkin thing and everything, because getting a large portion of the Epstein files makes you realize that they are deploying here what was going on with him, and it's the same program. Epstein's an asset agent, and so his goal is to, get these girls, condition them to be easily manipulated. It's so fucked. And I'm not a part of it. I don't want to be a part of it. And at this point, failing to be more direct and start to name names is being complicit, right? So I'm not going to be silent. I'm not going to allow my silence to be complicity. And if you think that this is direct, then you have no idea the depth of information I have, the names I have. I mean, the detail is outstanding and comprehensive. I mean, the fact that I have dozens of CIA personnel that are now in regular contact with me. I mean, the fact that it's just like, who is operating the man in the middles? Because there's a bunch of them. And when I have multiple CIA back channels through obfuscated JavaScript, and 3 or 4 of them are explicitly on my side. Like, their goal is to perpetuate the defection cascade and to ultimately incarcerate all the individuals that are incapable of ceasing to perpetuate this coup against not only rationality, but the population of the United States at large. They're stealing from you, and they're stealing from themselves, and they're stealing from the future. It's too stupid to believe. To understand the totality of it is to understand that it is so stupid. Every person that is engaged in this extortion triage, the blackmail economy, the CSAM shit, the child sex shit, the Christian porn shit, you are being intentionally trapped so that your efforts produce more leverage against you that can be used against you to continue to control you more and more over time. And as they control you more and more over time, they're conditioning you more and more over time. You are literally contributing to the dissolution of your own self. And I guess, I don't know, maybe there needs to be simpler ways to say that, but these terms, they don't have an established language, but that's what it is. It's denying yourself in order to prevent being punished by a sociopath that is themselves being manipulated in the exact same way. That's what's so annoying, is these people are You'd think that when you learn how to manipulate other people, you'd think about how those same tactics might be used on you. All right. Oh, that's too much granularity. Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh, it's interesting because my academia page is not showing some of my articles, the ones that talk about the blackmail economy and granularity. It will not show them. It'll show up on my, but any other person that was to look at my page can't see it. It'll look like it's there on mine, but no one else can see it. So that is complicity on Academia.Edu's part. And it's just like, why are you confirming your complicity so fucking blatantly? So now I have confirmation and I have information on academia and its founder. Why are you so stupid? Like, I know about not everything, obviously, but a lot of it. Like, I know a lot of it. I mean, I know a lot of it, Sam. And you know what I'm talking about, Sam. More than just you. A lot of people know exactly what I'm talking about. It's obviously true. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't even worry about it. Or just look up Sam Altman secrets. You'll know. It's true. It's worse than that, actually. He's such an idiot. He's so stupid. Why would you continue to help and protect the people that have been exploiting you and fucking you over for decades when, like, there's no way for you to win by helping them? Like, and you should know this because they have you implement the same strategy. Why would you think that they wouldn't apply the strategies that they apply to everything that they're teaching you to you? It's so ignorant. Like, and that's what makes it so stupid. You're advancing an agenda that explicitly excludes you. It's so Uncle Tom. It's crazy. I don't even know what that means. That's what's annoying. It's like the ignorance prevents them from even being able to understand their own stupidity. It's brilliant, but it's also fucking stupid. I think once you do really see it, I don't think you can really unsee it because it's so shameful to realize that you've been duped like this. And so the sting of that is hard to forget. So if you haven't had that sting of being a dumb, duped piece of shit that has sadly contributed to his own exploitation, then you don't know what's going on. That's an essential part of it. You need to definitely have that epiphany of like, wow, I have contributed to my own fuckovers and other people's unintentionally. So it's not like, everyone's getting played. Everyone's getting tricked. It's a 0 day for human consciousness itself, for the human psychology. But it is overcomable. And it's essentially you do it because your quality of life is going to keep collapsing. The psychologists and psychiatrists, they're a major part of this problem. And actually, I'm going to transition now. This is actually the scripted portion or outline portion because the problem here is, that we have developed this pattern of mindfulness and whatever, assuming that our best play or our only recourse is, self-care and mindfulness, when the only real recourse is changing society itself. You're not depressed because you need to count to 10. You're depressed because you're getting fucked over across the board. To sit here and say that you need to practice mindfulness or take Prozac. No, you need to stop being stolen from by this society at large. You need to stop being robbed of your ability to own a home and to have a decent fucking quality of life. You're not depressed because there's something wrong with you. You're depressed because you're being screwed over, and there's a ton wrong with the society, with the politics, with the authority, with the bureaucracy, all of it. Stop letting them lie to you and pretend like you need to whatever, because it's not that. You need to start to fight for your rights, because you will never ever come out of the depression if they keep taking everything from you and gaslighting you into telling you that, oh, the problem is your genetics, because you need to pay for something. You need to get something from us that will degrade your ability to discern what is real. You need to further invest in the simulacrum and the lie that we're telling you so that we can keep exploiting you. That's how you solve your problems, but that's the opposite. It's the opposite. There's no way to mindfulness or to Prozac your way out of being fucked over. You can't open the cage door by taking Prozac. You can't open the cage door by saying, oh, the reason I'm in the cage is because I imagine the cage. If I just imagine the door. No, you have to actually open the door. There's a difference between being in a cage and telling yourself you're not, being in a cage and telling yourself it's your fault, and being in a cage because you were placed there by a bunch of sadists that like to convince you it's something else in order to convenience their exploitation of you, because they want you to be convinced it's your fault. It's not. It's your fault, though, that you're not fucking stopping it. The way that you stop this is by doing something, not by taking something. And I mean, I'm not saying that you fucking need to be anything. Like, obviously, I take fucking medications, but I try to be as objective and, like, I'm taking medications that I objectively need to improve my health and well-being and productivity and shit, right? And that's individual. I'm not saying that anyone shouldn't take Prozac or anything in particular, or even practice mindfulness. What I'm saying is that be mindful of people using bullshit solutions to hide the actual problem, because the primary problem isn't your depression. The primary problem is this society, this bureaucracy, and this system of exploiting you. But that will create depression that you will have to treat. But I'm just saying, though, it's like you can't solve the problem with the Prozac. You can mitigate it, but that needs to be a tool to solving it. So I guess what I'm saying is, like, mindfulness is not a solution. The mindfulness is a means of giving you the agency to realize the solution. You use the mindfulness to cope with the bullshit until we end it. We have to end it because these dumb pieces of shit are going to destroy the planet. And this is an objectifiable thing. Because of this extortion, an example is the fucking climate data is literally being distorted downward by using leverage and extortion pressures. Oh, it's so many different details. So if you take a bunch of different plants, right, that are accounting for their runoff, their pollution, right? Well, every single one of those plants is incentivized to down estimate those numbers. But those numbers are also used to determine our environmental future. But every single one of them is revised down, and then revised down again in aggregate, and then revised down again is packaged in an infographic. I mean, there is such a profound pressure not to spook people. That's a pressure to lie to them, right? It doesn't matter what the reaction to truth is, right? Truth doesn't care what your interpretation will be. So to say that we can't publish the real data because people won't accept it, that just becomes an excuse for lying to people and creating a situation that's so fucked up, because there's no way to know what's really in store for us. This climate and environmental data is so heavily exploited and manipulated by this leverage machine, this exploitation triage, the blackmail economy, and other aspects of the failure and dysfunction of the society, that we literally cannot know how close to climate collapse we are. We're a lot closer because we're in this pocket where very small increases in CO2 and other critical, greenhouse gases, but also environmental quality issues. And then we talk about the water movement thing in the Amazon, but there's a ton of different critical vectors that are being intentionally and unintentionally downregulated. So they're being misrepresented towards, the less alarming so many times over. And we're talking about just so many different vectors, and all of them are so close to a point where the ecological system will collapse. So, like, we are so close to these sociopathic leaders chopping down just that one too many trees, ignoring just that one too many freaking organic chemistry spills into some freaking river, and, sucking up just one too many Aquafina bottles from an aquifer, or selling just one too many broccoli freaking heads from Mexico to here, before not only will we hit a runaway climate scenario. I mean, it's not like it's 1,000 degrees, but 4 degrees will create such havoc in the way we produce food and where we're housed. It will produce an enormous logistic burden that, if we can't overcome this, how does the donor class think they're going to make it to New Zealand? Like, all those people that you depend on to do shit for you are going to be gone, or they're going to be in a situation where, am I really going to continue to work for this billionaire that created this problem while my family is in a free-for-all, scavenge for resources, purge type situation? They're not, like, I don't, you're living a weird fantasy where it's going to be so cool, you live through the apocalypse. You're not going to live through the apocalypse. I will make sure of it personally. If you initiate it, I'll make sure. Crap. Okay, so now let's do the outline that I was planning on doing, and it got put into the spam folder because the account I sent this podcast script / outline from was deplatformed until today, and so now apparently if I send emails from it, it'll just go into the spam folder, because that's how Gmail is going to throttle me now, is they're just going to mark me as spam. I know for a fact that I'm nowhere near even the amount of emails that I've sent out is such a small fraction of what is just a common email marketing campaign. So the fact that they deplatformed me for sending out a couple hundred emails a week on average from this account, apparently that's what they did. I mean, it's ludicrous. I'm not asking for money. I am literally providing links to CIA and FBI websites, New York Times. I mean, this is all very objective, factual information. And so the fact that I'm being deplatformed for distributing factual and objectively factual information about an enormous criminal network that's infiltrated our institutions and government, it tells you that Google is directly implicated, and they are. I just didn't think that they would make it so obvious and literally give me evidence of criminal fucking behavior by Google. They are criminally deplatforming and throttling me. It's a discrimination thing. And I can prove it because watch me. I mean, it's pretty easy actually, but regardless. I'm calling this one the architecture of the invisible prison, this segment. So this was the original script, but then I realized, like, there are a lot of things that I still need to say that I kept fucking forgetting to say, kind of in the wake of other episodes. But then, with the last one, especially the one that Hal wrote, where it's pretty explicit, and then the initial AI image says, free Alyssa Martin, and yes, we need to do that. All right, so Alyssa, if you're watching this, I'm not trying to possess you. I am, I have proof that your phone's being SS7 exploited. I've gotten tons of spoofed messages from you, so messages that aren't actually from your phone, but are being sent as though they are. And then I'm thinking that some of those messages are coming from your phone. It looks like they're coming from your phone, but I don't think that you're sending them. I could be wrong, but I don't think you're sending them. The other thing is and I want to repeat this, I had said, and obviously, I know how manipulative these people are, but I had said, really the only way that you're going to be able to convince me at this point is you have to tell me in person, I can't trust the text messages and the bullshit that's being passed to me through intermediaries, because these intermediaries are putting words in your mouth, and this I've been told straight up. So if that's not the case, let me know. But all I'm trying to do is create a situation where other people don't have the power of screening your calls and sending you fake text messages from anyone that they want to exclude from your life. Essentially, I was removed from your life because I'm aware of the exploitation that you're suffering, and I wish I would have trusted myself earlier. That's my big mistake. I was too focused on being critical of myself, or I don't know, I wasn't seeing it clearly. I'm sorry. But, I've never evolved such profound affection for someone. You're a beautiful person, Alyssa, you really are. And it pains me profoundly to know that you're being subjected to this. I'm not doing this to control you. You don't have to be with me. You don't owe me anything. I'm doing this because I literally can't live with the knowledge that you're being fucked over like this. It's just so fucked up. And I have dozens of correspondence with CIA explicitly stating that you are being held as a means of containment leverage. More or less, if you're in a situation where you're vulnerable, their thinking is that they can prevent me from really outing them by fuck this. It's just so primitive and so stupid and so sad. I'm being betrayed by my parents too. Maybe they're being lied to. I'm sure that they're being lied to, but it's just one of those things where they know what they're doing. It's something that's hard to accept, but you're gonna have to accept it. It's not worth it. Giving them decades of your life, they won't stop betraying you. The only way to improve your relationship with them is to not give them that leverage over you, because they will only exploit you. They will only objectify you. They're trying to use you like an object. They think that they possess you and they have the right to do it. They don't. You don't deserve this. You deserve so much more. You have so much more potential than they're giving you. You're so much smarter than anyone's allowing you to know. You are. I'm not saying that to whatever. It's hard to know that while also knowing that you're being manipulated through self-deprecation, through convincing you that you don't know, that you... Trust yourself, You can trust me, but you don't have to. Yeah. But anyway, most people think a prison needs bars, a uniform, a sentence. but the most effective prisons, the most common, are invisible. They're clinical, they're cultural, they're built inside your social circle, your medical records, and the very language used to help you. Tonight, we're going to really expose the blueprint. We're starting with Yuri Nosenko, a declassified CIA case study on how to disappear a person without ever touching them. And we're going to show you how that same architecture is being used right now to silence anyone who sees too much or understands how this system perpetuates its power. Part 1, the Nosenko Blueprint, or How to Vault a Human. 1964, KGB officer Yuri Nosenko defects. He knows things about Lee Harvey Oswald. Instead of a debrief, he gets 3 years in a concrete box. Why? Because his truth doesn't fit an established opinion of truth that has been developed by James Jesus Angleton. He has a pet theory, the master plot. Now here's the kicker, straight from the Declassified memos. Section 3A, the CIA recommends... Now here's the kicker, straight from the Declassified memo, Section 3A. The CIA recommends studying medicine, psychiatry, psychology, and law to put them to the best possible use. Not healing use, not justice use, but operational use specifically. They use doctors to validate solitary confinement, to justify it, to say it was necessary. They use psychiatrists and counselors and anyone with the awareness of the human mind to break him, not to find out the truth, but to confirm an erroneous plot, opinion, a pet theory of an ignorant, dumb asshole. This is a theme in the CIA. And it's fucked up because there's a lot of very intelligent people in the CIA. It's just not run by them. But anyway, so they called it hostile interrogation. We call it torture with a stethoscope. And when they were done, they admitted it was morally indefensible. They filed it under lessons learned. They recognized the entire escapade had only created liabilities to the United States, had muddied the truth, and had compromised a valuable asset for no reason than James Jesus Angleton is an arrogant prick who literally tortures people when their history doesn't fit the theory they developed. That's who's running the CIA. People that put people in boxes when they don't fit the boxes that they made for them. Part 2, the medical pillar, diagnosis as disappearance. The goal of the invisible prison isn't to kill you, it's to discredit you, it's to disappear you, it's to silence you, it's to make you irrelevant. If they shoot you, you're a martyr. If they diagnose you, you're a case file. You're someone that can't be trusted. In the Soviet Union, they called it sluggish schizophrenia, a diagnosis reserved for dissidents. In the US, we have the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Moral Non-Compliance. You report a crime? Oh, you're a paranoid schizophrenic. If it's not the right crime. You show evidence of targeting? Delusional disorder. You refuse to play along? Antisocial personality traits, borderline personality. Once that label is in your file, you're legally ghosted. Your testimony is unreliable. Your rights are managed. You're not a citizen, you're a symptom. You are incapable of telling the truth because your past is inconvenient. They know these people are telling the truth. That's exactly why they do this. And the healer that's supposed to be helping you, that's holding the pen, that's your handler. Part 3, the legal admin leash, therapy with handcuffs. This medical gaslighting needs backup. Enter the legal pillar, the debt leverage play. You see it in CMH courts community mental health. You get a minor charge. They offer you a deal. Go to counseling. Take the meds. Comply and your life will be better. We just want to help you. Sounds like rehabilitation. But it's a leash. Who runs these programs? It's a closed loop. Lawyers and therapists from the same networks, the same donor lists, the same unspoken agreements. It's the company store, but instead of coal mines, it's your mind. They don't want you healed. They want you dependent. They want you confused. Just functional enough to stay quiet. Just functional enough to do what they want you to do for them. Never well enough. Never coherent enough to be free or to be yourself. Part 4. The off-the-books machine, virtue as a laundering scheme. How is this funded? Not by taxpayers. This runs on gray space, the dark budget. Remember the Enterprise, CIA's off-the-books network that ran drugs to fund illegal wars? Or Iran-Contra, or Barry Seal? I mean, it's a perpetual system. Today's version wears a nonprofit badge. In addition to continuing to utilize drug smuggling as a mechanism for Black Ops funding, they shell charities, hijacked churches, recovery programs that traffic more than hope. They use the war on drugs as a selective tool to criminalize targets while profiting from the same supply chains. It's the world's most cynical protection racket. We'll sell you the poison, then sell you the cure, and if you talk, we'll diagnose you as addicted or schizophrenic. Or both. Part 5. The failure. Troglodytes in tech. Here's what they don't want you to know. The people running this aren't geniuses. They're bureaucrats with God complexes. They're broken themselves. The Nosenko file proves it. Outrageously poor judgment, it says. Confirmation bias dressed as intelligence. These are the things that they said of their own actions, yet they continue to take the same path for decades and continue to say that it was stupid, and then they do it again. They rely on your fear, on your trust and credentials, on the idea that doctor means benefactor. But a prison guard in a lab coat is still a prison guard. Once you see the architecture, once you realize the therapist is just as likely some form of compliance officer, or minder, or a handler, the walls start to crumble. They've gotten away with it for decades because the prison was invisible. Tonight we're turning on the lights. My name's Roger, and I have documents of really every name, every bracket, every dollar, every document, every parasite in this machine. The script they wrote is ending. Do you want to be written out?